What's the biggest differences between negotiating for talent, film, and television?
In some ways, when you think about it, the film experience now isn't really that much different from the film experience of 20, 30, 40 years ago. It's still a collective experience where you sit in a room with a bunch of other people and you watch a screen. Now, the technology has gotten better, the choices have become, in some ways, more diverse, but it's still a one-off type of experience. The television experience has become almost indescribable. We watch it in our homes, we watch it on our phones, we watch it on our tablets, we listen to it. We experience it in so many different ways. There's so many different players in that business. There's so much more product. There's so many different ways to structure the deal. The notion of early television where, you were going to get hired on a show, you were going to go for 6 or 7 seasons, you were going to do 22 or 24 episodes a season, and then it was over, you were going to go on to the next thing, and if you were really lucky, the show was successful, you negotiated somewhere before the end, you made a lot of money, the show made a lot of money. That type of deal very rarely happens in that way anymore. Now you have all kinds of short episodes, you have the ability really to do more than one show if the exclusivity provisions of your agreement permit it. It's just a very different experience, and now there are different marketplaces. When you look at a show and say, you don't look at a movie and say, that's not a movie. Well, you do. You say it can't play in theaters, and it's not a movie. But if it can play in theaters, it's a movie. But in television, it can be a network show. It can be a basic cable show. It can be a cable show. It could be a streaming show. It could be any number of places where it rightfully belongs. It can be a short order series that must end, The Crown will end, right? And for those 2 actors who originated the role, it has ended for them, and now it resumes. That never would have happened. Nowhere would you switch leads kind of halfway. Think about that. When you think, it makes sense, but in years past, you would have just age progressed them. But now it's a much more authentic type of experience. So television has changed a lot. The movie making, the kind of experience of movies has not changed. The making of movies has changed.
Yeah. Have you had to change your negotiation style or tactics because of all of these new, different
my
aspects?
negotiating style, like many people who negotiate, is what it is. It tends to vary based on the amount of leverage I have. It tends to vary based on my knowledge of what the other side will and can give. It often changes based on who I'm speaking to and what I know about their individual proclivities and how they like to negotiate. But the knowledge you need to negotiate a good deal is what changes. And your ability to understand, it's like you have to understand everything. Like, I read, obviously, our trade publications, but I also read the business section of the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, and the Wall Street Journal, almost every day. And sometimes I read them online, but for the most part, I still read, especially the New York Times, because I get it here in my office. I still read the paper version, but I'm constantly researching and reading and understanding and reading articles and listening to things about the economics and the changes in the business.
Yeah, because you started, there were 3 networks.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And then there were 4. And then there were, and then there was cable, premium pay cable, like HBO and Showtime. And then,
Yeah, because I imagine a lot of those early deals never could have foreseen what kind of distribution outlets there would be now and what exclusivity means.
Right. Right.
So what have been the biggest challenges for you to catch yourself up to speed on, or that anything catch you by surprise?
There don't tend to be, at least I don't feel like there are huge shifts. I think that it's a tide, and it goes, and you can see it. And so does it catch you by surprise? Not like, oh my God, all of that has changed. No. You realize that things are changing, and if you're a good and astute negotiator, you stay on top of it. But I will tell you that as we look at issues of consolidation, vertical integration, all of those things have had an impact. Now we're moving into a whole new era where the agency business has almost become for the the very, very top agencies, almost the tail that wags the dog as they look to go into other businesses and have gone into other businesses. When you look at the businesses that WME and CAA, for example, are building in the sports world, in the professional, the professional, the sports representation in the professional sports world, the licensing of athletes and others, these are businesses that in some ways can and will probably eclipse the core business.